Pre-show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Codex Station's pre-show comic character of the week. I'm your host tonight, Sal the Slab Guy, coming to you from the Slabatorium. With me
Laboratorium.
tonight, I've got Dan the Kelly art right there, and of course, our guy holding up the pillars of the station himself, Uncle Gary. There he is, lifted. How you guys doing?
Doing all right.
I'm tired. I had to get up at
Why is this not on Facebook though?
4:30 this morning
Yeah.
to go to traffic court in Delaware, which is not a state that I live in.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What's up, Richard?
Hey,
It's
Richard.
weird there too. Like, I mean, granted, I haven't been to traffic court in Maryland in 10 years or more, and I got a speeding ticket in Delaware when I went up for my dad's thing where he got his, I don't know what do you call it, colonelship.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, I'm sure the guy just gave me a ticket because he sees out of state plates and stuff.
Yeah.
There were other out of state people there too, so I was like, all right, whatever. It's not going, it's not that bad. I'll go in and get, see if I can get PBJ because I got clean driving record.
Mm-hmm.
And all the time, whenever I've seen it in Maryland, you go in and you're in the courtroom and you wait, and all the cops are there, and
yes, Richard.
If the cop doesn't show up, then you're like, oh yeah, not guilty, and they're out. So we go in and you like check in. It's this tiny room, and you check in at like the front, like the front desk, like the clerk counter. And then you sit and wait, and then they go, okay, everybody can go in now. And then you walk in, and it's this tiny little courtroom. And the judge comes in, and after a few minutes, and she says, all right, goes over all the basic stuff, and then calls each person up and says, none of the cops are there, by the way.
Right.
So you're there, you can either plead guilty and or ask for a trial or something to where you would,
Right.
have them there. And then you would have to go back. I'm like, so what? And then she goes, all right, when you call you up, like you have to go right up, and you're standing like right at the bench, and where she's sitting, she's like eye level with you too. It was weird. So
there
it was definitely
Get in that picture, Gary. There you go.
It was definitely a weird experience, but like I said, I had a clean driving record, so I got PBJ, and I'm always amazed at people when they plead insanity. Yeah, I'm always amazed at people too. Like, you don't have to show up to court in like, a full business suit, but nice pair of pants, belt, tucked in shirt, button up shirt, polo shirt or something. There's people in there like ripped blue jeans, dirty t-shirts, flip flops, shorts. One girl was there in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt. I'm like, come on, like it's only traffic court, but it's still court.
Go up to her and say 35 variants. No,
I was in court, and there was an old lady that got a ticket. I mean, really old lady. And
you're right about that.
The officer said, or the judge said, Miss Johnson, I see you got a ticket way back in 1924.
Wow.
And he let it. I mean, I think he was just making it up. But,
yeah.
But that was still funny.
Yeah.
I mean, the judge, she was nice, and just. Yeah, or a Captain Cold outfit. Yeah, I just went up and, she sees that, all right, clean driving record. She's like, probation before judgment. All right, thanks. Bye.
Yeah. How long is the PBJ?
It's 5 years, I think.
Oh,
well, I don't know, because you have to have a clean driving, at least in Delaware, it was you qualify for PBJ if you don't have anything on your driving record for 5 years.
Right.
Damn. That is hard sledding to get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in Delaware.
For 5 years.
So I don't know.
5 years.
I don't know. I mean, it's been, it's been over 10 years since I've had anything.
Right.
So, was 12 years, 14 years, something. So I'm not worried about like, oh no, I got another ticket right away.
Yeah. I last time I had a ticket was like 10 years ago. But I mean, I got a
Be
ticket
careful what you say, because
I know
you're messing with karma. I don't want to talk about it. I got a CDL. I got to be so careful.
I know. I got the PBJ too, and as I was walking out, I'm looking at it because I needed to know how long it was because
welcome.
Hey, welcome.
Hey, Mr. Keith.
Mr. Keith. And it was 1 day. It was that day.
Oh,
PBJ termination date that day, and I'm like, okay, so if I just don't get a ticket going home, I'm good. So worked out fine. I just thought
which
it
is
was
good
funny.
because the next day he got pulled over again when he swerved into
Meatball sub.
the oncoming lane because he was eating his meatball sub and the meatballs fell out on his shirt and they were really steaming hot and he was like, ah, and he swerved into the lane.
Yeah.
Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. I've seen it. I've not read it. The reason that they did that comic is because they were going to do a sequel to the Freddy versus Jason movie that was going to be Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. And Bruce Campbell said that he would do it, but the only stipulation was that Ash had to win.
Yeah.
And then they, for whatever reason, they ended up not doing it. I don't think it was because of his stipulation. I don't know how well that movie did. I remember it not being particularly good.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone, are we live where we're supposed to be now? I know you've been working.
Well, we are not live on Facebook for some reason. It didn't accept the reconnection thing for that. So we're on Twitch and YouTube.
So do we need to start over to be on Facebook, or?
No, I think we're just going to go with it. I don't know, because I tried it and it just.
Well, I won't be able to see what I'm doing if I can't see myself on Facebook. How will I know?
I know.
I can't see anything. Are y'all there? Because I hooked into you on Facebook. Now everything is gone.
You broke it, Sal.
I did.
Sal broke the internet?
I did.
Well, whenever I do share all the links and stuff, it's always the YouTube link.
Right.
YouTube's where the money's at, anyways.
True.
But yeah, I had fun doing all the research for this character. I was able to pull out all those old flash books and go through and be like, oh yeah, this one and this one. There was a period there where where Cold was, might as well have just been a supporting character in the book. He was in it so much.
Captain Cold, yeah.
Yeah.
And Captain Cold versus Mr. Freeze is an interesting dynamic. Yeah.
Kevin Bacon is Freddy Krueger. I don't know. Like, I just can't imagine
anything.
I just can't see anybody as Freddy Krueger other than Robert Englund. Like, I know that what's his name played in that reboot that had one movie and then disappeared. But yeah, it's just I don't know, just the way he plays them. Yeah. It's hard to see anyone else in that role.
True.
He talks a lot of trash.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, in fact, like there was, something that wasn't, Cold's, I'm sure we'll get into Cold's cold gun, can even do stuff that Mr. Freeze's stuff can't do.
And Freeze was a scientist. Cold was just a dude that whipped the gadget up.
Yeah. Just a dude with the gun.
He's just a guy that found blueprints and memorized them and got,
he should have started his own company. It would have been a Snart up.
The Snart, you say?
But at a boom, I know.
Yeah, his creators didn't do him any favors when they came up with his alter ego name.
Yeah.
Leonard Snart. I like Leonard Snart. I like that.
It's definitely not the name of somebody that would be. It's not a heroic name.
No, Victor Freeze is much cooler. I'll give you that.
But Leonard
Snart. See what I said? Much cooler. See what I said? Did there?
I did. I got it.
Leonard Snart is the name of either an extremely nerdy character or a bad guy. There's no good guy that's going to be named Leonard Snart.
See, I got my blue parka right there in the background, just in case.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, like Lemony Snickets.
Yeah. Hey, Sal, did you back the last Impossible Jones book?
I did, because I got an email from them the other day saying that they're going to be shipping out soon.
Yeah, I got mine in the mail yesterday. That's why I was checking if you got it.
No, not yet. I got that email, what was about a week ago, maybe, saying that they were shipping out stuff. But yeah, I haven't gotten it yet.
Well, I know he's shipping them. I think that they do it, based on, on backers. So the earlier you back, the sooner they ship it and all that. So
Right.
Plus he does it all. Carl Kessel does it all himself out of his. Like packages all up and sends it out himself out of his basement. So it usually takes him about a week to get everything sent out.
Yeah. Right. All right, guys. Do you want to kick off this show? Oh, look at that! Lights went red. I think I should make them blue for tonight. Maybe I should.
We're not doing an episode on Heat Wave.
No, I should make them blue tonight.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and do that.
I bet even if you make them blue at some point in the show, they're gonna change back to red on their own.
They probably will. It's Thursday night. I swear to God. Last night when I was doing the podcast with Sonny, they didn't change at all. Not lying.
Yeah, I had to send you that message. Like, tell Sonny to read my message. Tell Sonny to read my comment.
Yeah, because Sonny was working the chat. Because my chat wasn't working last night whatsoever. It was just a spinning circle.
So Gary, one of them had said something about a new segment, like Sonny with his toys, and then I messaged him. I went, yeah, a new segment can be Sonny's toy box. Every episode, he reaches in the box and he pulls out a random action figure part, and then everyone else on the show has to guess which figure it came from. And the fun part is you'll never really know because Sonny doesn't know the names of any of his figures. He only knows the name of about half of them.
I'm surprised he didn't get a label maker when we told him who all the figures were, so he could write it down.
He can always just refer back to the episode.
Yeah. I mean, that episode, when he pulled out that tub, oh my God.
Oh yeah, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to show every figure I have here, no matter how many pieces are missing."
Oh my God. Yeah, that was just ridiculous.
Very true.
All
right, guys, are you ready to start, or
do
you want to do the pre-show a little bit more? Oh, actually, you know what? We haven't done any business. We got to do some business.
Okay, we can do some business.
Let's do the business first. Let's go ahead and start with you, Dan. Dan the Man Kelly. He is on Instagram. Why don't you tell them what you do there and how they can get stuff from you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. Post a few times a week. Probably will post something tomorrow. I posted that unboxing video that we did the other day.
Yeah.
And
that was you got some good stuff there. You got some good stuff there. All right. Down below, though, this is the master of the squared circle, the preacher of the lore, the Ric Flair of comics, Uncle Gary.
There was a fella that was at a they were promoting. Was it church, graphic design church? So anyway, he was dressed as Ric Flair all weekend in a suit, had the wig, and I heard "woo" all weekend. So I'm like, there you go. So, Comic Logic, come see me there. Comic Logic every Wednesday. You can see me, Mighty Mike Harbor, Rob Kalin. We are getting our weekly fix. We're getting our books to make us strong, brother. Because reading comics make you strong. Pick up books. Come see us every Wednesday. But even better, come see us on Sunday. Because this Sunday, Comic Logic, and we are Loudoun County, Virginia. It's the only comic book store within the Northern Virginia area. We will have the one and only Jim Calafori will be signing his autograph to your books. He will do quick head sketches if you have a blank cover for free. If you want something more detailed, then you're working out a commission with him. But quick sketches, signatures free, and he'll be in support of his new book, Ned, Lord of the Pit, Volume 2, which is a self-published book. I have the first volume. I look forward to getting the second volume. Dan has both copies, so he'll be getting his signed. Is your second one signed by him too? Did you get that signed?
No. So the first one, which one is this one? So the first one I got signed at Baltimore Comic-Con. And he even got all the extras I keep in there in 20. And the second one I did not get signed yet. I'm going to take it and get it signed on Sunday. I can't remember if I think it hadn't shipped out in time to take it to Baltimore last year.
Okay. Yeah, well, he didn't have it at Baltimore last year. No,
because I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I would have taken it with me like I did the year before.
No, that happened. He got that in afterwards.
So I'm psyched. I'm psyched to go get some stuff signed, get a sketch cover done. gonna be a good time.
Same here. Sal, you coming for this?
Yep, I'll be there for that.
Good, great.
I'll be getting a certain item in the mail tomorrow, according to my tracker, that I need to get signed. I'm not saying what it is on the air because I need to leave it as a surprise.
Okay.
I know what it is.
There
He
you
knows
go.
what it is.
Very good. Well, anyway, come see Mr. Jim California, Comic Logic, Sunday, June 8th, 11 to 3 at our wonderful shop. So we'd love to see you. Also, give some love to the Comic Character of the Day site that Archduke Kevy found. It's the way we all got acquainted. And Dan Kelly is running it now for him. And, of course, our character today was Captain Cole. Talking Geek had used one of the covers that I used for tonight's show. So he had great taste on that. So Talking Geek, good job picking the cover. And between him and I, we usually will supply a cover of the day. And then Dan's also got a great question of the day and usually a spiffy or salacious or both random panel of the day. So please come see that. And we would love to have you on that site with us. And, with that being said, let's kick it back up to the master of ceremonies there from his slabatorium that is ice blue cold now. Probably can see his breath, see the
almost.
What'd you say? What's the degrees in there you keep
It's a cool, crisp 39 degrees.
39 degrees. There you go. Just like Sal's age, 39.
Yeah, please. I wish. All right, folks. When I'm not here on Codex Station, always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner or under Instagram as the Slab Guy 77. But speaking of going online, you got to check out the codexstation.com. Brought to you by this man right here. He's the one that thought it up, designed it, wrote it, put it out there for everybody to see.
I thought about it. And Sal picked up those waves and put it out there. So that's how it worked. I was the idea man. Sal's the man that makes it happen.
All right. Very good. But you can get the merch there. You can meet the team. There's so much more there to check it out. And it has all the socials, the ones we're all infected with, that we're positively, absolutely dripping with. And our goal in life, our number one goal in life is to give them to you, baby. That's right. So just go to any social media, hit at the Codex Station. Boom. You'll find us there. So do that, like, share, subscribe, and get this content out to more people so that we can get this to everybody around the globe.
Oh, right? What you said about the random panel of the day. Yeah. It'll be a good one tomorrow. I think that you'll like.
Oh, we like that.
And the month of June, outside of on Thursdays, the character of the day is whoever we do for the character of the week. But outside of that, it's Avengers month. So all outside of Thursdays, all the rest of the month will be Avengers posted. And it was a hard time, to narrow it down because they're just like the Justice League. There's so many. So on Tuesdays, it's going to be 2 characters posted, every Tuesday.
You had the Beast and Wonder Man, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, damn, Beast and Wonder Man, I got to do a cover. So I did a cover, put it out there. I put it how, Beast was happy, blah, blah, blah. And I even put Sal knows at the end of that. And then I don't know what happened. It didn't post. And I was like, I just can't. Talking Geek had already had another one up there, and I was like, my eyes were just shuttered closed at that point. And I'm like, oh well, it lost itself in the great ether of the internet.
I'm surprised that you didn't comment on on the actual post when I put it up. Somebody put up there like, oh, Wonder Man, my least favorite Avenger.
It didn't.
That was Archduke. That was Archduke, wasn't it?
No, Kevin likes Wonder Man. It was someone else.
Oh, he does.
Other than the fact that I like Wonder Man, and he might be in my top 10.
Yeah.
There's so many bad Avengers that you would have to put on the list.
Wonder Man is in most people's top 10 Avengers. He was a stalwart in that. So
and there's been some Avengers that look, as good as Wolverine is, Wolverine should never have been an Avenger.
I think Dr. Druid was pretty bad. And had rage on his the big baller that was a kid that had rage on his that
was Rage.
Okay, Rage. There you go.
Well, he wasn't ever a full member. He was just a reserve one, right? And then he went and joined the New Warriors.
Yes.
He was much better suited to New Warriors.
Absolutely.
Yep. I know, I keep saying I want to sit down with you, Gary, and do the, a video of top 10 Avengers. We should also do of bottom. What'd you say?
We can do it in the summer.
Okay. Well, I should do one of, bottom 10 Avengers, because there's some pretty bad ones.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mm.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and kick off this show and get it going. So stand by. I'm going to run the intro here. Let me get to it. There we are. We'll see you guys in about a minute.
All right. Let's.
There are only 4 rules you need to remember. Make the plan. Execute the plan. Expect the plan to go off the rails. Throw away the plan. Follow my lead and you'll be fine.
Wow, look at that.
That music at the end creeped me out. That's like the interlude in the Michael Jackson Thriller video.
Yeah.
I need some Vincent Price.
Thank you. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, but I like how the other music chimed in or came in right after you finished. It was really cool.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Liked it.
Well, thank you. All right, Codex crew, it's about to get cold in here. Today we're spotlighting one of the coolest criminals in the DC universe. Literally. That's right, we're cracking open Leonard Snart, a.k.a. Captain Cold, the leader of the Rogues Gallery, antihero with a code, and the Flash's most frosty foe. He's not just a guy with a freeze gun. He's the most grounded, street-smart villain in all of comics. A blue-collar boss with strict no-kill and a brain for strategy. Oh yeah, he's got style. We're talking comic history, key story arcs, coldest moments, and maybe, just maybe, we'll figure out why a parka-wearing thief became one of the most iconic members of the Flash's Rogue Gallery. So grab your thermal gear, crank up the AC. It's time to get cold in here. 100% Captain Cold. Dan, why don't you take us away on the intro?
All right, well, he first appeared in Showcase number 8 in June 1957, created by...
Yes, of course you do.
What'd you say?
He says he has it.
I have it.
Yeah. Shocker. Oh, no, I can't believe it.
What?
Created by John Broome and Carmine Infantino, who is, I believe, one of the most important yet overlooked creators in the history of comics.
I think I go with that.
See. Anyways, Leonard Snart, which we were talking in the pre-show, is a name.
Hey, Liz.
Ego name that the writers did not do him any favors on giving him that one.
No, they did not.
I like the name. I like it.
But like I said, you can't have a hero named Leonard Snart. It's either a nerdy character or it's a bad guy. There's not going to be any super heroic guy who's named Leonard Snart. Anyways, he was raised by an abusive father. The only one that he could really find comfort in was his grandfather, who would deliver ice.
Mm-hmm.
And he lived with his father and his sister because the mother had died when they were younger. When he was a teenager, after his grandfather died, he left home and started a life as a criminal. He joined a group of small-time thieves, and one of them was the one that had the what's up, Chris?
That are late now.
That had the goggles that he wore, that he wears, that they all wore because it was to block the flash of gunfire. And then later on, when he became Captain Cold, he took them and adapted them to use for that. On one of their jobs, they were captured by the Flash. And when he was in jail, he knew that he would need some kind of gimmick, or he would need something more if he were going to continue as a criminal. And they've kind of changed it a little bit over the years. At one point it was he found the plans for the cold gun and then stole them and taught himself how to make it. And then when they updated it, it was he read an article about this, absolute zero thing, and and it was something that he could use, that he figured he could use to stop the Flash, and built the gun himself, and then hooked it up to this cyclotron that then changed it around in ways he didn't expect. So, they have changed it, but it's essentially he got the plans for this freeze gun, memorized how to make it so he could, make it whenever he needed to, and he became the criminal Captain Cold. And as far as powers, though he did have powers at one point, mostly he doesn't. He's a skilled strategist, and he has the cold gun that he uses for many different effects, which we will get into as the episode continues.
Yes. All right, very good. That leads us to our first segment of the night, and that's what works best. And I think I will go first on this one tonight. What he works best is he's got a code. He doesn't kill unless it's absolutely necessary. No women, no kids. He respects the game. Let's just
Wow.
That's good.
Wow.
He's motivated. He's motivated by loyalty, money, and a pride of being a professional. And his personality is calculated. He's cool-headed, and he's brutal, but he's disciplined. And he has this honor among thieves type of attitude, like the rules matter to him. So that's what works best for me.
He also has a rule: no drugs. I like that.
Yeah.
None of any of the rogues are using. You're out, buddy.
Yeah, Gary, why don't you tell us what you like best?
I like that too, man. I like that he is the leader of the rogues. He's no nonsense. They all look up to him, and he has got a, he is, like his powers. He is a cold, cool, calculated, criminal, and he doesn't brook any insolence. He runs the, he just walks in the room with swagger, and the other rogues just follow him. I mean, he'll have a conversation, and they can question him, but what he says goes. It's his way or the highway, and that's and he does not suffer fools in his rogues very lightly. I mean, he barely deals with Axel, who took over for the trickster, and just out of the legacy of James Jesse, the original trickster, he'll deal with him a little bit. But I like that he has an affinity with Mick Rory, Heatwave, that they're pretty close. And he carries the guilt over his with his sister's death and her going into the lifestyle of crime as Golden Glider. Yeah. I love his rules, and you don't kill unless necessary. You definitely don't kill a speedster, or a cape, because then you got the rest of them after you.
Right,
so,
right.
He's very much a realist on that, knowing once you do that, you're bringing hell on you. So, I like him as the leader of the bad guy. And as the rogues go, as rogues galleries go, I think it's Batman, it's Spider-Man, it's Flash.
Yeah.
I think that's it. That's the list.
Yep. So, he worked with Selena too. Okay.
Axel does get on his nerve, but I think he likes Axel too, because Axel's kind of like that annoying little brother to the rogues' older big brothers. And that's why they, and they still, tolerate him. But
he'll grudgingly protect him.
Like the rogues are such a great villain group, because they're so unlike pretty much every other villain group, where they operate with the relationship they have with each other is more like, a superhero group, kind of like the Titans, where like they are a family, and they might have their disagreements and stuff, but they will watch out for each other. They'll protect each other. And, you don't see that a lot of supervillain groups. It's, oh, well, they got him out, whatever.
And even the second generation ones, when Scudder was gone as Mirror Master and McCullough came in, they fall right into the same, in line.
Yeah.
And one of the rules of the Rogues is, you can't take on the gear and the name of someone unless they're gone, unless they've retired or they've died. If they're still around, you can't take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, so let's go ahead then. Is that yours is next, right? You jumped in there, right?
Yeah.
Then go. Yeah, I thought you were talking about yours there.
No, I was
Gary. Are you done?
Gary.
All right.
No, mine is, like you guys have said, he has that that code of honor.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it's the how he like I said, they don't kill unless they absolutely have to. It kind of reminds me, if you've seen the movie Heat, which if you haven't, why haven't you? But that's kind of how De Niro and his crew was in that. They're close, they watch out for each other, and they're not they're not going to kill unless they have to. But if their back's against the wall, they'll throw down in an instant. They're not going to hesitate.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how it is with the Rogues. Like they're not opposed to it and they'll do it, but it's not the first option because they know, what that leads to. And how he built his cold gun too, where, he's even said, look, I'm not, when people question, like Lex Luthor, some of them question him about it. And, how did you do this? And he goes, look, I'm not that smart. I memorized the schematics for this when I got it, and I built it and took it apart and built it and took it apart. Yeah, they're unionized. But he talks about how he built it, took it apart, and how he memorized it. So, even though he can't do any other kind of tech stuff, he can do that. So no matter what happens to the gun, he can always rebuild it. So, the level of dedication it takes to be able to memorize and do that when that's not something that you're good at is impressive. And the way he, you guys too, the way he keeps the Rogues in line when he's like, these are the rules, follow them, and and that's it, or
and you'll be fine.
Yeah. And they all respect him, and he's strong-willed and independent. When all the villains in Final Crisis or in Forever Evil were siding with the crime syndicate and going along with them. Yeah. And the Rogues are like, he's like, no, F you. I'm not, we're not doing that at all. And there's antagonist. That's good. And then again in Final Crisis when all the villains are falling into line under Darkseid, and Cold and the Rogues are like, no, we know how this, and F you, we're not interested in that at all. We're not going to be part of that. And they were hunted down for it too. And still they're like, no, we're not, we're not going to do what you tell us to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. Yep. All right. So that's the segment of what works best. We can now jump into our badass moments. Dan, I'll let you go ahead and kick this one off first then. Give us your badass moments.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 7 of them, so why don't you guys go first? And if you take any of mine, I'll still have some leftover ones.
All right, Gary, you want to go?
Sure.
Right.
Just like he was talking about briefly with Darkseid taking over, Lieber was the front man, for Darkseid, and all the other villains in the world had fallen in line, and pretty much Cole just told him to stuff it. We're not following you, and has Mirror Master. He tells them to stuff it, stay off of Earth, and he has them disappear into a puddle, a reflective puddle, which was pretty cool. That's how they exited. But he told them, stuff it. The Rogues are going their own way and stay off of Earth. I just thought that was pretty bad. And this is against almost all the other villains united, right? Because everybody else was falling in line, but the Rogues, they weren't playing ball. And like Dan mentioned earlier, he's done that on numerous occasions where he has the Rogues walk away. And what I like is they're a team. They're not just a team, they're a family. And there's no defections.
Yeah. There's not even complaining from them about, maybe we should. They're like all of the same mind of him. Yeah, we know what's going to happen. We're not We're not part of it.
And I like that they don't, that Grodd's not a rogue, and I like Abracadabra. They hate Abracadabra. He's not a rogue. You're a rogue.
Not all the Flash villains are rogues.
No, not all of them are allowed.
It's Cold, Heat Wave, Weather Wizard, Mirror Master, Trickster, and then sometimes Weather or Rainbow Raider used to be one. Sometimes you'll see Pied Piper in there, depending on what.
In the early days, was Boomerang ever part of it?
And Boomerang,
Boomerang in the beginning.
He was too, because his kid was part of him.
Right,
was part of him for a while as well too.
As a legacy, right? Another legacy. Yep.
Absolutely. And they went and took him in.
Yep.
But not everyone that's a Flash villain. Girder's not one.
No.
Zoom.
No.
They hate him.
Up Top was a rogue.
That's right. Top was, and so was Golden Glider too.
And so was Golden Glider, absolutely. So not everybody's a rogue just because you're the Flash villains. It's a very, it's an exclusive club amongst the Flash villains. But I like that the rogue said stuff it in again. No defections.
Yeah.
No defections. They're all on board. Man, he so in Rogue's Revenge, he catches up with his father, who's a piece of trash. And you pretty much see the writing on the wall. He's going to kill his father. His father was abusive. His father is blaming Mick for getting for his sister getting killed because she followed him into the lifestyle. And just when you think Cold is gonna his father's talking some shit to him, you think Cold is just gonna freeze him with the gun solid. He just walks out and leaves him there. And he says to Rory, "Burn him, Mick. You do it." And he had Mick burn him. I mean, I think I'd rather be frozen than burned. Yeah. So just said, "You do it, Mick. Burn it all." And then he burned up the whole damn joint, I think. And then they asked him, "Does that make you feel better?" He goes, "No." No.
Oh yeah, Weather Wizard asked him if it made him feel better. He said no, but it was worth a shot.
Yeah, it was worth a shot. Yeah, no, but it was worth it. It was worth it.
Yep.
Yeah, worth a shot. So, but there was a level of coldness to it where he wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because of any emotion he had. It was kind of like, you're beneath me. Or that's how I interpreted it. You're beneath me. I'm not even going to kill you. Nick, you do it. just had one of his boys do it. And you know what? Mick didn't hesitate.
No.
Mick's like, oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah. And it was interesting. There was an interesting in the Flash TV show that was kind of goofy at times. There was an interesting Captain Cold and Heat Wave, the actors that were playing the two. Yeah, and the Captain Cold actor was very kind of quirky with how he delivers lines and all. Very, just a particular way he would say things. I loved it. And I know they were in that prison drama Breakout or whatever.
Prison Break.
Prison Break. They were together. So I thought that was great casting, the two of them together. And it was fantastic. But that was a badass moment. And then
Whitworth Miller was the name of the actor.
Yes.
Because in Prison Break, they played brothers.
What'd you say?
In Prison Break, they
were brothers. That's right. I loved how Wentworth Miller delivered his lines, though.
Yeah.
It was just, he had a really cool cadence, how he would just deliver all his lines. It was just really great. And a really interesting take on the character where, like we've seen in the comics, sometimes good, sometimes bad,
Yeah.
Because we know there's this version of him, Citizen Cold, where this is where he had powers and he could generate the powers at times too. And then my last one, we're all going to have this one. It's where Chilblain, who killed his sister, he and Cold are having a reckoning about it. And Chilblain says, "Your sister is a tramp." And oh man, Cold just loses it. And Cold usually, if he's going to kill somebody, just freezes them solid. That's it. No pain, no nothing. Chilblain, he changed the setting on his gun to just freeze his epidermis, just freeze his skin. And he said, "Your organs are still pumping. You can still feel anything, but your skin is frozen. You can't move." And then he makes stalactites in ice off the side of a building from the ground going up. Or I guess those are stalagmites. The ones that go up are stalagmites. And he picks up Chilblain and throws him off the building, and he gets impaled on the stalagmites. And again, he made it so his organs were, not frozen, and so he could feel all the pain. Man, that was cold-blooded, cold-hearted. That was Leonard Snart at his nastiest.
Yeah.
So those are
because he had a copy of his cold gun that his sister gave him, because when they had a falling out, and she kept trying to find someone else, and I think he was the third Chilblain, and then he turned and killed her, and Snart was like, nope. Where he went in and was taking out all the drug dealers and stuff, and told the guys, like, look, I could take all these guys out, or you can just give me him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the drug dealer was like, all right, you two sort it out. The guy's like,
yeah, exactly.
wait, what?
That's awesome.
So those are my 3.
All right, I guess I'll go next, and Dan will pick up whatever we left off. So yeah, we kind of alluded to this earlier. He turns down Lex Luthor in the Forever Evil series.
They do that all the time. They're like, no, we're not playing your game. No.
They're like, yep, just flat out says no, it's not happening.
No,
we're not doing it. But he does fight along with them, but he's never Lex's man. He's never Lex's recruit. He was like, I choose to do this because I wanted to. But he fights on his own, to his own code. So let's say flat out the Lex. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Let's see. The other one I have is he takes out Gorilla Grodd. This is a Black Label one. I thought this one was pretty cool. He takes out Gorilla Grodd, and he shows off like his intelligence in his way, and he gets away from Gorilla Grodd still with a small fortune of money. So he's not only he's getting away from Gorilla Grodd, but he also manages to steal from him as well. So
and the other thing is they just want to rob banks, really.
Yeah, really.
They just want to rob banks.
They're there for the money. They don't want to dominate the world, or
they're not trying to deal drugs. They're not trying. They just want to rob banks.
They don't want to rule the city. They don't want to rule the world. They don't, they don't want to kill Batman. They don't want to kill the Flash. Like, they just want to be like, we want to get our money, and then we want to be left alone.
Yep,
that's right. Yeah, that's right. For my last one, now I'm gonna have a caveat on this. I don't like the fact that he got the superpowers and didn't have the gun. I didn't like that version of him, but he did have a pretty cool moment where he froze over Central City with his ice powers, and that in itself alone is a pretty badass moment to freeze an entire city. I'll give it to you on that one. But however, but with a caveat, I don't like how he had the powers in it was New 52, I believe. Didn't like that. He's always been the guy with the cold gun, that type of situation. So anyhow, those are my 3. How about you, Dan?
Well, yeah, and it was really like all the rogues, him, Heatwave, Weather Wizard, all, Mirror Mask, like all of them have the gimmicks, their guns and stuff. So
right. Oh yeah, it's true.
There are Flash villains that have powers, but all the ones that are in the rogues are just guys that or Golden Rider women that have their their guns or whatever their gimmicks.
Boomerang, top.
They have no innate power.
Mirror Master had a mirror thing.
Mirror.
Correct?
Yeah. Yep. Right. So they're all gimmicky, which is kind of fun. That's why Grodd was different, and Abracadabra was just using the science from the 64th century.
Yeah, to make it look like magic.
Make it look like magic. Yep.
Yeah. So, the Chilblain one was number 1 on mine. I mean, that's
everybody's list. Yeah,
that's signature. So, I'll go through some of the other ones. In Flash 174, Tar Pit is attacking this playoff hockey game, and Flash shows up to fight him, and Tar Pit's got him and getting ready to kill him, and then all of a sudden he gets frozen, and Flash looks over and then it's Captain Cold there, and he doesn't have the suit on. He's got his gun in his holster, but he's wearing a hockey jersey for the local hockey team, and he's got his hooker girlfriend with him. And Flash is like, "What are you doing here? You're here to rob it too?" He's like, "No, I'm here to watch the damn playoff game. I paid a lot of money for these." And then he helps
robbing banks.
Yeah, and then he helps him beat Tar Pit, and then after Tar Pit's all taken care of, Flash goes, "Wait, where's the trophy?" and Cold is gone, so he stole the Stanley Cup.
Nice.
I got to read that one. Where was that one from again?
It was Flash 174.
Volume 2.
Yeah,
Volume 2.
yeah.
I got to read that one again.
Yeah, that's pretty badass. That's fun. That's fun. That's just stupid fun.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's like a big panel of him, and he's like stepping on the ice with a hockey jersey, and it's like, well, of course, Captain Cold's going to be a hockey fan.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I had the Kill a Chobane. I had the thing from Rogue's Revenge 2 with Heatwave. What you were talking about with the no drugs and Flash 213 when Mirror Master is in the bathroom and Cold's banging on the door like, hey, come on, you've missed, you've been in there for half an hour, you missed the past how many hands? He's like, oh, I'll be out in a minute. He's like, no, and he kicks the door down and sees him in there doing coke. He throws him out and he's like, no drugs, you're out. He's like, say it back. And he goes, okay. He's like, say it back. He's like, no drugs.
And that was McCullough, right?
Yeah, that was McCullough.
Yeah.
Flash Blackest Night #3.
Yeah, that's
it had said, after Captain Boomerang died in Identity Crisis, or before he died, he found out that he had a son, and after he died, his son kind of took up the mantle and was welcomed in by the Rogues. He was also on The Outsiders for a while, which was a fantastic series.
Mm-hmm.
But he was, one of the Rogues, and it was weird that they took him in because he had speed powers.
Yes, he did.
Generally against the speed, and they always. I don't remember if they ever actually came out and said who his mother was. Like they kept alluding that it was Golden Glider, but I don't think they ever really said it. And it was alluded that whoever his mother was where he got his speed powers. So I'd have to go back and look because I forget who. But
I don't know that I know who his mother is either. I don't remember that.
But
Owen, was his name Owen?
Owen, yeah. But in Blackest Night, that's when all of these dead characters were kind of coming back as zombies, and Captain Boomerang was. And of course his son, wants to try and help him because they didn't have that much time together when they discovered each other before he died. So, he's kind of being taken in thinking that, oh, this is his father and he can find a way to bring him back. And he basically puts him down, has him down in a pit and is just throwing people down to him because he just keeps saying, oh, I just need a few more and I'll be back to myself. And the Rogues find him and, they're like, what are you doing? And he said, no, he's almost back. Just, he just needs, 1 or 2 more. And they said, like, that's not him. That's not really him. None of these ones that came back are the people, they're just these undead abominations. And Cold looked at him. He's like, how many people have you thrown down there? And he just kind of looks off to the side. He goes, was there any women or kids? And then you just see this panel off to the side with like no dialogue or anything. And it's just, I think it was like a stuffed animal you saw on a toy or something that was kind of off to the side. And then the panel cuts back to him and he's just standing there looking ashamed. And then Cold just when Cold sees that, he just threw him in the pit. And of course, him thinking like, oh, it's really his dad. And, his dad, killed him, and Cole's just like, because that's another thing for the Rogues. No women, no kids.
Yeah.
Right.
No matter, even when it comes to killing, no women, no kids, regardless. And even though he was part of him, as soon as he saw that, he's like, nope. Through him. We don't abide by that. Right, a couple of those. Oh, one was Flash 206 when there was a character that came on and was framing him for all these police murders, and when Cold's telling Flash like I didn't kill anyone, and then when they finally find who it is at the end, and Flash is fighting him, and Cold comes in and confronts him. Cold freezes, he frees him. He said, I told you I didn't kill anyone. And then he like breaks the guy apart. And he goes, now I've killed someone. Like, just Chobane, like, damn.
Yep.
And then one that was kind of a little more sensitive in Flash 214, which was taking place during the Identity Crisis story, which started when Elongated Man's wife, Sue Dibney, got killed, and the Rogues see about it, and they find out the news, and Cold tells one of them, he says, send flowers to Elongated Man. He's like, don't put our name on it. And then, Axel, tricksters there in the back are like, oh, what? We're going to put a bomb in it or something? And he goes, no. He's like, we're just sending flowers. But, left of that because, again, it broke their, it wasn't any of them that had anything to do with it. But, it broke their code, no women, no kids. And, it showed that level of respect that they had for, even the heroes that they fought against, still the level of respect where they're like, there's a line that you don't cross.
And Elongated Man was part of a lot of the early Flash adventures.
Yeah.
There's a connection there to Central City. Because Elongated Man first appeared in Flash 112.
And I like with the Rogues, too, that they have their own hidden graveyard. Kind of like where you see with the heroes where they have the graveyard form and they'll have like the statue for each one as they go on. Like the Rogues have that, but it's off hidden somewhere where no one else can find it. Like it's just for them. And I can't remember what book it was, but I seem to remember reading something at some point where after Barry died, that the Rogues had some kind of little memorial type thing for him, because even though they were enemies, it was always, they made it clear too, they always respected Barry. They didn't like him, but they respected him because he respected them.
Yep.
Yeah,
I wish I was trying to find it.
That's vaguely familiar to me, but yeah, I believe they did. They had a service for him.
Yeah.
Like drank a toast or something to him.
Yeah, it was something like that. If anybody knows, put it in the comments.
And they lost a little bit of purpose when he was killed too. They were kind of aimless for a little bit, and then because it was never the same with them and Wally as it was with them and Barry.
And there were interactions because they knew that Wally was Kid Flash, and Wally had a public identity for a long time, and then they made it non-public, and I can't remember if it's public again or not now.
Yeah, no, I can't keep it straight either.
Yeah, but they said something to him. They said something to him at one point. And they were like, you're always paraphrasing, like, you're always a little shit as Kid Flash, and you still kind of are, like, And at that point, like after he died, the world knew that Barry Allen was Flash, and
Right.
They were like, your uncle, like we respected your uncle more than you. You're just annoying.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. So let's go ahead and jump to our next segment, which is critiques or criticisms that we have for this character. I will go first because I only have one really, and that's that new 52 version of him. I did not like that. Gary, show us the figure on that new 52 version again. I don't even like the sleeveless uniform or costume you want to say on that.
No, that's much better costume.
Yeah.
It's such a ridiculous costume, but when the right artist draws it, it looks great.
Well, yeah, and I will say that this ice, ball with spikes in it is pretty cool. That when he could do that with his powers, but the thing is, we have a bunch of cold villains that can do that. Icicle can do that, and
Killer Frost. Yeah.
So
I just can't get over I can't get past the fact that he's the guy with the cold gun that going to that. I can't make that change. So that's why I never liked that.
And it'll be in my readings. I enjoyed the Citizen Cold storyline because there was such a, he's supposed to be good, but he's doing some bad things. I enjoyed
Flashpoint.
Yeah, from Flashpoint. I enjoyed that. But the new 52 version with the powers and all and the new look, it was okay, but this is the look.
Okay, so that's what I have. So Gary, what about you?
Same thing, exact same thing. And the new 52 version. I'm trying to remember. Was he the leader of the Rogues? Did they have the Rogues in there much? I just don't.
Yeah,
remember.
he was the leader.
He was still the leader. Okay, so but I This is my version. I like classic cold. So there we go.
Okay. All right, Dan, how about you?
Yeah, we're all simpatico on this. I think he's a great character. I think the Rogues as a whole are great characters. But
Yep.
like I said, he's got the heat gun, and Heatwave's got, or he's got the cold gun. Heatwave's got the heat gun and the heat resistant suit. Weather Wizard's got the wand. Mirror Master's got the gun. Your Trickster's got all the stuff. They all have their gimmicks. Like, I didn't like when they had powers. Now, it was kind of interesting, at least in the way that they had powers, but the powers were kind of as much a curse on them as it was something that helped, because they had gotten the powers from this deal that Cold made with Neron and during Underworld Unleashed. And there was a little chafing there, because they kind of blamed him for making this deal, because when they got these powers, they found it wasn't all as good as it was supposed to be. I remember, like, Heatwave was all scarred up from it and all that. But yeah, it's better when they're the ones with just the gimmicks without having the powers as part of them. Like, and especially there's a great scene in one of the books with Heatwave where he's shooting. It's when they were fighting all these. It's from Final Crisis, when Libra was okay. Well, I'm gonna make my own rogue, because he kept trying to recruit them, and he's like, I'm gonna make my own rogues, and gives these new ones the same gear that they have, and the classic rogues go after him and tear him apart easily. And Heatwave's going against the other heat guy and is shooting him with the fire, and he goes like, oh, my I'm gonna shoot you with my heat and get you, and he's hitting him, and Heatwave's like, you know what my suit is made of? And he starts shooting him, and the guy's like, I have a fireproof suit too, and he's like, yeah, he's like, but I bet your shoes aren't. And they kind of start melting. He's like, mine, I fight a speedster, so I have to have heat. And he's going into this whole thing about how, where you see how all of them have adapted their stuff, especially Cold too, for fighting the Flash. So it's not just a cold gun. It's
right.
Has stuff specifically made for counteracting someone with super speed, like the same way with Heatwave too.
Yeah, Cold got rid of his guy. He shattered his hands off. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like it. Again, like I said, we're all the same.
Yeah,
it's not the same when they have the powers as part of them. I think even though it makes them more powerful, I think it takes something away from the characters, giving them that. Not every character has to have powers.
Right. And they're adept at using these weapons,
Yeah.
It's part of their skill set. They know how to use it, and they know how to use it against speedsters specifically.
Right. And the cliche, and I know Dan has said the cliche on this a lot too. Not every villain needs to be a redemption or an anti-hero, but in this case, this is the exception to the rule. I think him being the anti-hero is pretty awesome.
Yeah, because he was part of the Justice League for a little while after Forever Evil, and him and his, like, after Barry died, him and his sister went straight, and they oh, there goes the blue.
There goes the blue.
Him and his sister went straight, and they became bounty hunters for a while, and and him and the Rogues have occasionally helped out the Flash here or there. It has to be something that kind of suits their interest, or in the case of something like Forever Evil, where they say, yeah, we're not down with all of this. That's we're not interested in that.
Yeah, or like with Grodd, what Grodd wants to do does not further their goals, so why would they help Grodd subjugate humanity?
Right.
Yeah. But when he had the cold powers, like, all right, visually, okay, it looks cool when he ices up his forearms and make the that. But with the cold gun, he's can freeze stuff, and he can create the cold field, and he can have the gun where he can bathe them in in like a wide beam that's designed to take out a big area, or he can make something small. He can was it where he makes like that cold field where like when Flash runs through it, it doesn't freeze him, but it just causes him to move
Slow. Yeah.
so they can fight him. And it's cool what they've been able to adapt. Just this freeze gun to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, then let's go ahead and jump to top cover, shall we? And Dan, I will bring yours up first. Let me find yours first, though. Hold on, there you are. Boom.
Yep.
Good
All right,
ones.
so the one all the way on the left, Flash 37. This is from, I don't even remember what
Volume 5.
Volume 5. It's I love how you see the Flash frozen in the thing of ice behind him, and Cold is just sitting there on his kind of ice throne, smug look on his face. You see all the rogues at his feet, just kind of bowing down to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a great image.
And the kneel before Zod reference. Yeah.
The
I like when sorry, go ahead.
No, what were you saying?
I like the text on that one, the bubble text. I like how the Cold is like faded into a
Yeah, and it looks like it's frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Then the middle one, Flash 7.
Love that one. Love the middle one.
Yeah, the alternate cover. It just looks so cool, where it's just the close up of his face, and the way that they have the way that the artist did the fur that's around his hood, but it makes it look like, and then the breath coming out of his mouth, that it makes it look like he's kind of poking his head out of a snowstorm.
Was that Manupul?
I don't know.
Okay,
I would have to look that up. But it's such a just a great striking cover, and especially too with all that white that's all around the edges, and then the face with the color just popping through the middle. Is just a really striking visual.
Love it.
And then the one on the end is the hardcover, the cover to the hardcover of Final Crisis: Rogue's Revenge, and I just because him being the leader of the rogues and part of it is just so essential to his to him as a character, that I had to have one of them in it. And I just love that image. And Scott Collins did the cover of that, and I love that image of him, of the like looking up at all of them, and you see the ice on his gun, and you see the fire heat wave behind him, and the electricity and a weather wizard and all that. And just it's the layout of it is really great. The artwork is great.
Yeah, I like that one the best, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at the signature on that middle one, I'm pretty sure that is Francis Manapul.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Because that looks like his signature.
Yep.
Love it.
All right,
all
Gary.
Those are great. All three of those are great.
Yeah, definitely, Dan. All three of them are great. Let's go ahead and show Gary's next. Let me find you, Gary. There you are. Boom.
All right, there we go. So the one on the right, of course, is same as Dan with 37. That's by Barry Kitson, by the way.
Yeah.
Before Cold, Barry Kitson. That is volume 5. Love it. And for all the great reasons, Rogues bowing down, Flash frozen behind him. The one on the left, I really dig. Teen Titans Cold Case 1. Talking Geek used this today, too.
I almost picked that one as well. That was one of my finalists.
I love that, too. Jason Fabach, Ryan Wynn on that. That's just great. Look, again, top of the mountain. It's frozen Titans.
King of the hill.
Yep. King of the hill. King of the frozen hill. Deathstroke peering in, going, damn, he did that. Yeah, I didn't get to do that. He did that. It's just a great image. And then we have to go old school and give some love to the creator, the co-creator, and that's Carmen Infantino. And I am pretty sure that is the first cover of Captain Cold. So that is the first Captain Cold cover right there. Yes, it is, Chris. That's Carmine Infantino. Like Dan said, he is a creator that does not get enough credit for what he did. Not only the character designs, his long run on Flash and Batman, but also he was DC's publisher for a lot of the 70s too.
Yeah.
So he's a very, very influential name in comics history. So, I just think that's just a cool, I love the very 60s cityscape behind him, behind the light post and all that. So just a classic Flash cover.
And that's also his first cover appearance and his second appearance too.
Right. Second appearance, because in the Showcase 8, he's not it's not a cover appearance. He was in the backup story on that.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Very
First
cool.
cover appearance, second appearance. Yep. Very good.
Awesome stuff. Awesome covers. All right, let me go ahead and bring up mine here. Where is mine? There it is. All right, here we are. Look at that. 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. I got the Teen Titans Cold Case #1 as well, for all the same reasons. It's this King of the Mountain type situation. All right, so that middle one, that's actually a Walmart giveaway. So I do not know who the artist is in this particular one, and I guess it's Placenta.
I think that's Maniple in the middle.
You think it's Maniple in the middle?
Yep. I think it's Maniple.
It didn't come up on my CLZ, so I can't confirm it yet. But yeah, I love that. I love the depth perception in this one where he's shooting his gun. Flash is doing the Matrix trick, where he's dodging the bullets. Where he's dodging the icicles, and it's just pretty cool imagery for that one. I love that one. The one on the right, this one was the cover for a trade, I believe, and I like how we got all the characters in the background, black and white. They're pretty much look like they're dead or frozen or something. But if you notice, the guns have ice coming out of them as well. They don't look like the traditional cold gun, but it looks like there's still ice coming out of them as well, which is pretty cool.
That was the cover of Flash Volume 2, 182.
Okay.
That's what I have in the spinner rack right behind me.
Yep. And
very good.
That's Brian
Bolland. All right, I thought it was a trade. Thank you so much for clarifying.
Well,
that.
it was.
Yeah.
They reused it for a trade.
Right.
Brian Bolland, great cover. The only thing is his face looks a little too much like the Mole Man in there.
Yeah,
it does. It does.
Yeah. But it's a great cover, and I almost used that cover, and I'm glad somebody did that cover because it is a great cover.
Yeah, it is cool. All right, so there are my covers. All right, so
are Jamie's in there? Do you want to throw those up?
Yeah, I'll throw up Jamie's here really quick. Hang on.
Whose character was this? Who picked this one?
That would be me. I picked
nice.
Captain Cole. Did I pick Captain? Was it me? Yeah, I picked Captain
you
Cole.
picked him.
Yep. Hang on. Let me find Jamie here.
I think it was either you or Jamie. I didn't know which.
Yep. So Jamie went with that.
Final Crisis. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's a good one. An old Flash, and then of course he picked the Captain Cole face one.
Yep, and then the other one's another great Carmen Infantino.
Yep. Awesome stuff there.
And you look at it too from the early appearances. Other than the New 52 part where they gave them powers, his suit's pretty much the same as it was when he was first introduced. There's not really any, like anything. There's going to be stylistic changes just with the style of an artist, the way they draw. But for the design of the suit, it's the same as when he was introduced in 1957.
Yeah.
Right, and there's an appearance of the elongated man on that cover with Flash.
Yeah.
Never looked right with the elongated man wearing a mask.
No, and I didn't like the purple costume so much.
Right. Yeah, I like how he's throwing away the gun too.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Who needs a cold gun when I got the elongated man?" He's
Yeah,
tossing the gun aside.
That purple suit wasn't great. The one that he had later on in the JLI,
that wasn't bad.
With the white, that one was okay.
That wasn't bad. Yeah.
All right, there we go.
But yeah, the classic red with the black in the middle. That's the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. All right, so before we jump to our next segment, Dan, do you want to talk about the giveaway for the month of June?
Yeah, so I don't think we have the picture of the books loaded up, do we?
No. Do you want to get me some and I'll load them up here, or do you want to just for next time?
Give me one second, and I will send it to you. You see how professional we are, everybody?
We are. We're very professional.
We got this on lockdown.
That's right.
Sal, is that Ovechkin jersey signed by Ovi? behind you.
Actually, no, it is not signed by Obi. I got a lot of other people signed on here.
Okay, because I see signatures on it. All right.
Yeah, yep.
You know what? Whenever I come over to your house, I'll make sure to sign it too.
Thank you. I appreciate
Sign
that.
it, Dan Kelly art.
Signed Dan Kelly art.
All right,
You sent it to me. All right.
I just sent you a picture.
Have an action figure with Obi's signature on it.
I like your parka. That's just great.
Yeah, thanks.
So, so I can show you the books, for our giveaway. Our giveaway for the month of June. If anybody hasn't seen yet, we all, we kind of take turns, by, who's going to get the giveaway books each month. So I said I would do June. So we have 3 books. We have What If issue 37, which is the first appearance of Shala Ball with the Power Cosmic. She's not the Silver Surfer in this. She's a character called Starglow, but with the Fantastic Four movie coming out and them using the Silver Surfer, the Shala Ball one, I was like, this would be a cool one to do with that. We also have Marvel Age number 12, which is the first appearance of Spider-Man's black costume, which was designed by a fan, and Jim Shooter bought it. I think it was like for $220, and the only thing they changed on it was the little spots on his back of his hand and the spider were red, and then they made them white. But other than that, it's a gold label Ovi jersey from me.
Yep, there you go.
Let me say something about Jim Shooter real quick. He was at Big Lick this weekend. Did y'all see him last year when he was here?
No, he wasn't at the one we went to last year.
Okay, then he was at the Fairfax Comic Con in the same building. I got Shooter's autograph, got to talk to him a little bit, this and that. Wow, he looks really rough. I think since then he's been diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, jeez.
He's in a wheelchair, and I walked by. I didn't interact with him just because I want to keep the memory I had from last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But just looking at him, I just, unfortunately, I don't believe Mr. Shooter's long for this world. So just, to send him my best, and think about him, thoughts and prayers, best wishes. But I do believe that he is really suffering through cancer right now.
That's not good to hear.
Yeah, no.
Sad.
But
all right,
yeah.
I got that picture loaded up here. So this is the actual
there we go.
giveaway picture. There we go. But Dan already showed off the books.
Well, he didn't show up the last one.
So the last one is the big boy book, as we call it, the Marvel Spotlight 28 Moon Knight, first solo Moon Knight story, first appearance of his alternate personalities, and the first mention of the alternate personalities, the first appearance of Marlene, the first appearance of Crowley. So if you were a Moon Knight fan, this is a very essential book to have. So it is all 3 of these books this month, and all you have to do is go to our YouTube page, and there is he was a giant in the.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he is.
Chris, did you see him this weekend when you were there? He was right behind where you were with Andrew Clem. He was right on the next aisle.
So go to our YouTube page, and you will see a video there that is that shows the books and me basically just saying what I did there. Go on there and tag somebody. You get as many entries as you want, as many people as you tag. Each tag is 1 entry, as long as you are subscribed to the station. And at the end of the month, we'll pick one of the names there. So also tell everybody that you tag, hey, if you go on here and tag somebody and you follow the station, you'll get entered in it too.
That's right. I think they can also do it with TikTok or
you can do it on TikTok. You can do
Instagram.
It on
Instagram.
Chris song. Yeah, you can do it on TikTok. You could do it. It's on on Instagram too. You can do it on all of them. But the one that we're really focusing on, for everyone is we're trying to get our subs on YouTube up to 2,000 by the end of the year. We're sitting at a little over 1,600 now, so we're trying to hit 2,000. So with everybody's help, I think we can do it. And That's why,
Nice.
That's why I went out and spent the extra money to get, a good incentive book.
Yep, definitely good stuff. Definitely good stuff. All right, so our next segment of the night is essential readings. Uncle Gary, I'll let you kick it off for essential readings. Let me pull up your card here,
Right.
because I'm totally on the ball for this tonight. All right, there you are.
All right. So that's perfect. The image right there by Brian Boland is the cover of Flash 182, Volume 2, The Absolute Zero. That is the book that delves into his past, and it's just a brutal story with Chilbane and what he does to him. And as we said, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty what he did to him.
Right.
So that's a one issue. It's also in it's in the Jeff Johns omnibus, or in the individual trade called Rogues, by part of the Jeff Johns series. Flashpoint, Citizen Cold 1 through 3. I like this because it was just an interesting take on him being a hero, but as a hero, he's doing some killing as a hero. He's not. Yeah. He is not a squeaky clean hero in that. And there's a lot of gray area he's covering. So he's got some anger issues too. So.
It's also, I thought, interesting to see, because there's the Flash does not exist in this world. Right. So you see him kind of get interested in Iris.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, there were a lot of interesting things they played with in this world. Yeah. So I just thought it was an interesting take on Captain Cold. Like I said, it's its own world. So the Flashpoint world, Citizen Cold, definitely worth a read, I think. And then the Final Crisis, Rogue's Revenge 1 through 3. That's where we talked about how he dealt with his father, and how Libra is hooking up all the world's villains to to really ultimately be under Darkseid's thrall. But Libra's like the point man, and the Rogues are, they're not playing ball. They're not playing ball at all. And in that series, we get the confrontation where Cold gets to confront his father, and throws a barbecue for him. So you get those. So
his father, who was a disgraced ex-cop.
Yes, was a disgraced ex-cop. Absolutely.
For being a crooked cop.
Yeah.
Kicked off the force.
So there you go. Those are my reads.
All right, very good. Dan, you are next, and here you go.
Not a whole lot different.
Ignition is good too. Ignition is very good. Yeah.
Flash 182. It's a. When you talk about essential reads for Captain Cold, I think that is the most essential read for him. That one issue, because usually on the recommended readings, I usually tend to shy away from just doing one issue stories. I'll do story arcs or miniseries or something, but that one issue is so essential to his character. It had to be put on there.
Yep.
Rogue's Revenge, we talked about it throughout the episode. Gary just talked about it pretty well. No need to go into more on that. And Ignition, Flash 201 to 206, that's volume 2. This is coming off a big storyline with Zoom, and the Flash kind of disappeared for a while. There's the Wally West Flash, and everybody had forgotten he was the Flash, including him. And, it was because Hal Jordan as Spectre kind of cast this spell over the world, this, like Doctor Strange and in Spider-Man. Don't know if it was inspired by this, but it was, he cast this spell to have everybody forget that Wally was the Flash because of this trauma that him and Linda went through with Cold. So he remembers who he is, and he's coming back on the scene, and there's somebody that is killing people, is killing cops, and making it look like Captain Cold is doing it. And you don't see Cold at first, for the first couple issues in his suit, but you do see him in this diner that Wally goes to, who at this point he's working as a mechanic for the police. And Wally goes into this diner because he's working nights, and you see Cold there. And there's a couple scenes where they sit down and talking to each other, not knowing who each other are that are really interesting. And then, when they do interact, it's Flash and Cold, and Captain Cold's telling him, like, I'm not doing this. He's like, I don't want attention on me. Why would I go out and kill a bunch of cops? And
yeah,
it's just a really good read where he is the focus as the villain without all the rogues, just him.
Very cool.
I see what you did there.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump to my reads then. I had a last minute change, and I dropped one of my stories for Rogue's Revenge. I liked it a little bit better, so I don't think they'll really cover more on that because Gary did a good job. So I liked Flash number 750, Cold Comfort. This kind of story, I felt like a humanized Cold without softening him. He's not reformed, but he's aware of what's going on type situation. There was a brilliant use of inner dialogue for this issue, and Jeff Johns is just amazing in this one. It gives him his inner life without heavy exposition. It's it shows a lot of his grief, so it's really cool. It's like a microdose of everything great about Captain Cold: his moral complexity, his grit, his loneliness, and a spark of loyalty that just won't die. Scott Collins did art for this. His art was amazing. It was really good. The panels are tight. I love the framing. It's just a physically and emotionally good story about Captain Cold. So I would definitely check this one out.
Nice.
The next one I have is that Rogue's Black Label, Gritty Heist. This is a Black Label, so I believe this is not in continuity whatsoever. So
that's okay.
Yeah,
it's still
that's
good
okay.
tale.
It's still a good tale. This is for my badass moment where he steals from Grodd, I believe, and gets away with the fortune as well. But it's a mature theme story. It delves deeper a little bit in their complexities of the characters and showing the consequences of their actions and the allure of one last score. So definitely, if you like something a little bit that's not in continuity, check this one out. All right, go ahead and pull us back there.
Yeah, Jamie's. Did Jamie have any?
Oh yeah, yeah. Jamie did have some reads. Let's go ahead and show Jamie's off. He had Rogue's Revenge, Rogue War, and Rogue's Reign.
Rogue War was one that I almost had on mine. In fact, I think when I sent you my reading, I sent you that one and then dropped it off and was like, no, put Rogue's Revenge on there instead.
Right. I actually had
Rogue War was a great one.
I read Finish Line, and Finish Line was good, but I don't think it featured too much of Cold. They make good appearances, but I don't think it. I don't think he was a central figure in it. So I dropped was it Finish Line.
Yeah. But yeah, Rogue War was good where you have two different factions of rogues going against each other. And it's, even though we talked about there's this great relationship between Cold and Heatwave, they're actually on opposite sides of the conflict in this one.
Yeah.
It's basically the traditional rogues with Captain Cold, and then on the other side it's Heatwave, and then some of the newer Flash villains like Magneta and Girder and some of them. But it was a really good storyline.
Yeah, that's cool.
Very good.
And there we are. All right, so let's jump to our next segment of Best Writer and Artist. Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with that? Depends on how much you pay, Chris. How much you pay? How much money you got?
I'll be up there on Sunday. I've been looking forward to this pretty much since it's announced.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I'm very excited to go up and see everybody and see Jim again, who's met him a few times, a nice guy. I'm super excited to get him to do one of quick sketch cover.
We did an interview with him at Baltimore Comic Con, didn't we?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, we talked in the past couple of years. Really nice guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude. We look forward to having him.
You got to too, Gary. Yeah. You got to get a picture of you and him holding up the Wildcat.
Oh, well, I plan to. And I've got that great big Aquaman giant omnibus.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So for me, the writer should not come as any surprise because he wrote every one of my recommended readings and the recommended readings that didn't make the cut that I was considering. Oh, awesome.
Oh, yeah. Very cool.
Forward to. And that's Jeff Johns. I mean, the way he took not just Captain Cold, but all of the rogues, but really especially Cold. He took all of these villains that were, they were fine. They were good enough as villains, but at least for me, when I would read some of those old Flash stories, like personality wise, there wasn't anything super unique about, there was nothing where one would stand out too much from the other one when they all get together. And, John's, built on the backstories for all of them. And he, gave this emotional depth to these characters, and especially Cole with the stuff with his father and his grandfather and his sister and, and this, the way the rogues all interact with each other and him as their leader and, the code of conduct that they have and all this, like, John's just built up, all of this with them and, really, really made the character, what he is now. So that's why I had to go with him. And for artist, I kind of had to, I wanted to mention David Finch because, it was badass the way he looked when he drew him in Forever Evil and I think in Justice League a little bit, but my number one guy I had to go with Scott Collins. Love the way that he drew him in Flash, in Citizen Cold, in the Final Crisis Rogue's Revenge story.
Did he buy your vote with that Thor that he made for you?
Yes, yeah. But well, that's not why he got my vote. But
I'm teasing. I'm just teasing.
Yeah. He had a great long run really good run on the Flash.
Yep.
And like I said, Colt's costume, when you think about it, is kind of ridiculous, but the way that Collins drew it was really good. And especially the way, when you look at the different artists, they all have a different way of drawing the Cold gun. And I really like the way that Collins draws it, where like, yeah, it's a gun, but it's a little futuristic looking almost.
Yeah.
Which is the way that I think that it should be, and not just, it's just a gun with a barrel and it shoots ice out of the barrel instead of bullets. The way Collins draws it makes it look a lot better. And yeah, those are the two that I went with.
Very cool. All right, Gary, how about you?
Without a doubt, slam dunk for the author. It's Jeff Johns. So without a doubt, for the artist. I also want to say it's, for me, I did pick Scott Collins, but I do want to give some love to Francis Manupul. And I want to give love to Carmen Infantino. And then also love to the guy that was drawing Flash when I first started reading it, Irv Novick. So,
Howard Porter did a good one too.
Howard Porter did too. He sure did. So, but the recent ones are Manupul and Collins that really, that in the past 10 years or so that have really done a great job on those characters. And like you said, Finch was spectacular, but everybody Finch draws is spectacular.
Yeah.
So, that's par for the course. But that Scott Collins with me too.
All right. Very good. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and be completely different and go with Jeff Johns and Scott Collins.
There you go.
So,
there you go. That's what we need.
I do want to give a mention to I want to say his name is Leomax. Leomax. He did the Black Label Rogues 2022. Okay. I like the gritty drawings, so I really appreciate that. So I got to give that some love.
I have to tell you, I have those books. I have not read them.
Okay.
Yeah, but Rob liked them. Rob's a Flash fan. He liked them, but he said they were very gritty. And they're 3 Black Label oversized
Right.
volumes.
I mean, I'm just personally biased. I kind of like the gritty look
Mhm.
to a lot of things, so I just want to give up some love to that, and also the Finch as well. So that's
Well, I do not have those books, so I'll have to take a look for them next time I'm at the shop.
They've been collected by this point in a hardback, I'm sure.
yeah. All right then.
I'll
That
say
looks like.
I'll say this too, and I think I mentioned it to Sal the other day. With DC taking all these villains and giving them their own series, Joker had us for a while, and Penguin and Two-Face and Harley Quinn. Maybe it's just Batman villains that get their own series. Poison Ivy, but Cold seems like a character that would do great. That would be able to sustain having his own book. Where sometimes it would be just him in it, sometimes it would be him and the Rogues, or him and just maybe one of them. But as far as villains go, there's very few that I think would be able to be the lead in their own book for a sustained amount of time. And I think he's one of them. And it's kind of surprising that the closest he's gotten is that 3-issue alternate universe miniseries.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got enough quirks to his personality that make him interesting.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Rogues movie. I think that would be pretty cool.
There was that great scene in and it was one of my recommended readings in Deadshot, the Deadshot episode when when Batman broke him out and they were going to save his daughter, and she sent the Suicide Squad after him, and it was Cold and Harley Quinn and Boomerang. And Harley Quinn's a freaking lunatic. And Boomerang, even though they're rogues together, Boomerang's a goddamn coward. And the way they're operating, and Cold is there and with them. And I remember this one scene on a helicopter where it's going to crash, and they're trying to get him, and they're arguing about who can do what, and they're kind of getting taken out, and Cold just goes, "Now I see why Waller sent me with you." So, something along those like, "Now I see why Waller sent me. Like, you idiots can't do anything." And one shot with the freeze gun, he kind of captures them for a little bit, and it was just funny to see him interact with these other characters where even still he'll take charge and look at him like, what's wrong with people? You're not professional at all.
Right.
I got putzes on my team.
Yeah.
All right then. I guess we can go ahead and wrap this one up and put it to bed. Make sure you got your electric blanket because it's going to be a cold night. Hey guys, thank you very much for your stories and your top covers. Jamie's too. They were all awesome. I enjoyed them immensely. Folks in the chat, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Stay tuned and see us all on Saturday night for Comics Unleashed. But next week, we don't know what our character is yet.
I thought we had Jugs.
I don't think it is Dan's pick. It's supposed to be Jamie's pick.
Oh,
is it?
Gotcha.
All right. So we'll talk to Jamie, get that pick. But if not, we're still going to have a character. So still be here and be surprised because that's what we do here at the Codex Station.
Follow us on Instagram and you'll see who the pick is early in the day when I post it.
There you go. There you go. There it is. All right, folks. We will see you next time. Take care and have a good weekend.
See ya.